today's session. I hope all of you are doing good at home. Well, so we are going to study Passage to India today, and we had already finished 6 stanzas of Passage to India within our contact hours itself, and we actually never ever thought we have to complete Passage to India in or through YouTube, right? Well, so moving on to Whitman's Passage to India, I hope you have gone through the introductory video that I had posted. So we had discussed several themes of Walt Whitman in it, and do you remember there was a theme of body and soul which was discussed in that, and you can literally relate the same theme coming into the stanza that we are going to study today. So we know that Passage to India, the poem as such, it's a pretty lengthy poem. He starts, Walt Whitman, the famous American poet, he starts Passage to India by singing 3 technological advancements or accomplishments of the 19th century. And you know what are these technological achievements, I believe. One is the Suez Canal, the second is Pacific Railroad, and the third is Atlantic Cable. So all these 3 advances are actually taken as physical accomplishments of the world. Okay, and when you just observe what the structure, how the theme develops in the poem, we come to understand that Whitman actually talks about 2 planes in this poem. One is the physical plane and another is the spiritual plane. Okay, and he relates these 3 achievements or accomplishments of the 19th century to the physical plane, and he again goes on to connect the visions, efforts of relentless efforts of the past, and he relates those efforts to a secret purpose of the God, and that is actually the spiritual plane of this particular poem. So ultimately what Whitman is trying to tell us is this: when we come to this century, this 19th century, we had already accomplished these achievements, and with the help of true Son of God, that is, according to Whitman, a poet. Okay, a poet is the true Son of God according to Whitman. He says that with his help, because he only knows what is the secret which is kept or which is hidden within all these time. So he only knows it, and he is the man, okay, who is born for the purpose of God. And what is that most purpose of God? It's of course harmony and unity of the whole world. So he says that with the help of this poet, we can achieve a passage to India. Okay, so you might be wondering, what is Passage to India? Over here, Passage to India means spiritual journey. India is given as a land of spirituality, okay, a land of innocent intuitions, a land of our primal thoughts. So with the help of the poet, because the poet only knows to travel, to take a journey with the soul and reach out to the heavens above, okay, on the spiritual plane. So this the journey of the soul, from the depth of the soul to the heights of heaven, that is actually taken as that is actually taken, which happens on spiritual plane. Okay, so let us move on to our stanza as such, and in the last stanza we actually finished discussing this idea that he just stopped discussing in this age of accomplishment. He just gets reminded about the efforts of restless explorers, okay, especially Columbus. He says that this this is the right time for that. Okay, he says that a vision never dies. It remains until in God's good time. In his own words, to God's due occasion. In his words, and then it sprouts, blooms, and fills the earth with use and beauty. So this is how he had finished the second stanza. So he says that there was a vision, okay, which is kept by the God, okay, as his vast purpose. And what is that vision? It is, of course, the harmony and unity of the whole world. He says that when appropriate time comes, according to the will of God, the God has fixed an appropriate time, everything will be revealed. So in the former stanzas, we had also seen a Miltonic vision of Walt Whitman, that from the days of Adam and Eve, because of the fault that they had committed, his myriad progeny, they are feverish, they are wandering, they are searching, they are helpless, they are wandering in the earth with unhappy hearts and all, with in order to get the answer for that very question, to soothe themselves. Okay, they are trying themselves to get back to those primal days. Those days of intuitions in which Adam and Eve used to live in the company of the God. Okay, but over there in that stanza, the poet actually remains as a singer. So he is also, one of the progeny of Adam and Eve. But moving on to this stanza, the seventh stanza, he literally takes the role of a poet. Okay. And one thing that you have to note in this poem is there is a clear distinction between the status of a singer and a poet, which is given by Walt Whitman. Have you noticed it? In the first stanza, Whitman actually starts, claiming himself as a singer. Okay, singing this year. Okay, these days of accomplishment and all like that. But anyway, moving on to the later stanzas. He literally declares, okay, or the singer of Walt Whitman that we see inside the poem, he announces the coming of the poet, and he literally makes the poet as the true son of God. Okay, so in this stanza we see that poet is actually accompanying the soul in a circumnavigation of the world. Okay, and why are they literally going for such a circumnavigation? In order to achieve harmony and unity of the world. Okay, to literally bring about that unification. So that's it. Moving on to the stanza as such. Passage indeed of soul to primal thought, no lands and seas alone, the yon clear freshness, the young maturity of brood and bloom, to realms of budding Bibles. O soul, restless, I with thee and thou with me, thy circumnavigation of the world begin, of man, the voyage of his mind's return to reason's early paradise, back to wisdom's birth, to innocent intuitions, again with fair creation. Let us get into detail. Lines inside the seventh stanza. It talks about a passage, okay? A passage in the company of the soul to the primal thoughts, to the innocent thoughts of man. And who is actually going for a passage? The poet himself. A passage indeed of soul to primal thought, okay? In order to accomplish the vision, okay, that was kept by God. And in order to accomplish that vision, what we have to do is, you have to go for a journey in the company of the soul. That's why he says, passage indeed of soul to primary thoughts. Primary thought, in the line means the first innocent thoughts of man when man, or the primary thoughts of man which Adam and Eve had, okay, when they lived in the company of the God. Not lands and seas alone, okay, the journey shouldn't just cover only lands and seas, but thy own clear freshness. Okay, so you are taking a journey, and the journey shouldn't cover the journey over land and sea alone, but this is a journey that you do inward. Okay, thy own clear freshness, it means a reference to the first clear primal thoughts of man. Maybe he is referring to intuitions in the life of a man, of course, has a kind of a visionary purpose, no? So he says that only if you are able to go back to those primary state of mind that Adam and Eve had once, then only we will be able to accomplish this purpose. Okay, you will be able to fulfill the vast purpose of God. Well, then he goes on to write the young maturity of brood and bloom. Okay, brood and bloom just means that youthful stage of the human race. So over here the journey, he literally makes use of a metaphor of journey here. The journey over here is an excursion to the maturity of the race, okay, and to the realms of budding Bibles. So the budding Bibles over here again means the first thoughts, okay, first innocent thoughts of man. So let us go back to that very particular place, okay, in order to make true the vision, the vast purpose of God. And he moves on to the next section. He says that, O soul, restless, I with thee and thou with me, thy circumnavigation of the world begin. He says that, O soul, he calls Saul, and he says that the nature of the soul is this, that it cannot be subdued. Okay, it is restless. And I with thee and thou with me. So he literally talks about the companionship that he is, okay, having with the soul. I with thee and thou with me talks about the company of the soul. Thy circumnavigation of the world begin. So it's a popular way of thinking that soul has to navigate, at the time of, in the context of death, okay, a soul has to navigate before it merges with the oversoul. And so he says that thy circumnavigation of the world begin. Okay, so together with the soul, he says that I with thee and thou with me, let us go for a circumnavigation of the world. O man, the voyage of his mind's return, okay, of man, the voyage. And so literally imitating the movement of the poet with the soul, a man will be able to take a voyage of his mind's return. Mind's return over here means returning to the primal thoughts, okay, mental status of Adam and Eve, so innocent, so pure. To reason's early paradise. Reason's early paradise means intuitions of man, the faculty of the visionary. Back to wisdom's birth, to innocent intuitions. He stresses, the time of Adam and Eve here. Again with fire creation, the passage to the primal thoughts. I hope the points discussed so far are clear. So if you have any doubts, you may WhatsApp me or mail me at the ID that I have put in the description box. Thank you for today.